You know, Guelph puts out a lot of great hockey players, but it's probably more famous for putting out great referees, and a big family, a tough loss for the hockey community this past week with the passing of Bill Devorski. And we're going to go upstairs to Bill Granger, who was one day a referee himself, with a couple special guests. Bill?
Thank you, Trevor. On my left, I have Wayne Marshall, a longtime OHL, OHA referee, and on my right, former NHL linesman Ron Asselstine. Both of them, and as well as myself, knew Bill Devorski pretty well from our on-ice experiences. And Wayne, there was a part of Reader's Digest at one point, I thought, that had a segment, the most unforgettable character I met, or person I met. Where does that statement fall in your memories of Bill Devorski?
Well, I met Bill when I was about 18 years old, before I ever came to Guelph, and he impressed me right away. And as I moved to Guelph and learned of his legendary reputation, he impressed me even more. And every time I went on a game to work the lines for Bill, I knew I was going to a bigger, tougher hockey game than I'd ever seen before. And Bill handled it with smoothness. When you walked in the arena with Bill, you got the feeling of getting so much respect, because it was shown to Bill as soon as his face hit the inside door.
Yeah, you bet. Ron, what are your memories of Bill and your experiences?
Well, Bill was one of the founding members of the Guelph Hockey Referees Association, and any of the guys that turned pro out of Guelph owe a great deal to that organization. And Bill was one of the founding members. In fact, he was the last surviving member of that organization. And I owe a lot to Bill and to those charter members and to senior referees like Wayne for taking me under their wing and tutoring me and teaching me the ropes. And one day I turned pro and made a living at officiating hockey for over 25 years, and Bill Devorski was a big part of that. He helped a lot of young officials, and as Wayne said, when you went to a game with Bill, it was normally a pretty tough hockey game, but he handled it great. The players loved him, and he would let them play, but there was he would only let them go so far, and then he would rein them in. And he was a terrific guy. He was a great family man, wonderful family. The Devorskis, of course, have that legacy of Paul, who had a great career in the National Hockey League and just retired this year, and Greg, who is still working, and both great officials. And I know how proud Bill was of them and of his whole family. So it was an honor and a pleasure knowing Bill, not only as an official, but as a friend. He was a good guy, a good man, and we're going to miss him a lot.
Yeah, and his family ties in officiating go to another generation of Ben and Ryan Wilson.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah, no, it's in the bloodlines. And Bill was not only a great hockey referee, he was also an outstanding soccer referee. He refereed pro soccer in the summertime. So he had a big family, and he worked as a machinist and then as a maintenance man at the University of Guelph, and he had all these mouths to feed, and he did it. He did a great job. Him and his wife Bernie raised a lovely family, and we're going to miss him a lot. He's the two best referees I ever worked with at the amateur level were Bill Devorski and this guy standing next to us. Wayne was an outstanding official himself. It was always great going to the rink with those two guys, Wayne and Bill, and all those referees who taught me the ropes and allowed me to make my living at something I love to do.
Well, Wayne, you know that Guelph is geographically situated pretty comfortably when it comes to all levels of hockey. In the days of the OHA, senior hockey was big. You had a couple of levels of that, levels of junior A, all the way through down to intermediate. And we went all places, didn't we?
We did. And some of the senior hockey that we officiated in those days, there was guys that have come back from playing pro hockey, and during the regular season they'd be dressing 12 players and getting by because a lot of guys didn't want to travel. But in the playoffs, it was better than the American Hockey League, in my opinion.
Yeah. Ron mentioned the fellows that turned pro, but under the leadership of people like Bill Devorski and the Guelph Hockey Referees Association, there were a multitude of great officials who didn't turn pro, but worked every weekend, it seems, and did great work for the OHA.
That's true. We had a real crew of veteran officials that always had their game in control, and if you were working the lines or just standing in the crowd watching them, you appreciated their ability to make it a good hockey game.
Bill Devorski was the type of guy who, type of official, I should say, who was completely fair. He controlled and managed the hockey game, and you can both comment on this, but he was a master at controlling the hockey game, keeping the down team in, the other leading team on their toes, and kept the fans involved too. Wayne, your comment.
Like Paul said about his father when his father passed away, Bill was tough but fair, and everybody appreciated that in him as a person and as the way he refereed hockey. You just had to know the family and see how they all turned out, and what a good job he and Bernie did. My wife and I went to Bill Devorski's house one Saturday night just for a couple of drinks, whatever, and we walked in, and Bernie's standing at the stove, got 4 pots on the stove. She's making 4 different pasta sauces because Paul liked this one and Greg liked that one.
Yeah, they're just amazing, and you know, just to go back about Bill and his ability to officiate. He really allowed the players. He always said it was the players' game. The game belongs to the players and the fans, and we're there to make sure that they put on a good show. And if you need to insert yourself in the game because the players are trying to take advantage of one another, that's when you do it. But if you didn't, he allowed them to, you know, rock and roll, and that's what he wanted to do. He says it's their game, let them play, and if they're playing and behaving themselves, you didn't hear from them. But if they started to get out of control or get abusive, then he would step in, and they knew he meant business. He didn't bluff. So he was terrific. He was a terrific official. He was a good man, a good friend, good family man. And we just, you know, for guys like myself and Scapinello and McCreary and all the guys that came up through the Guelph Hockey Referees Association, I can't say enough how much we owe these men for helping us to move forward in our careers and become hockey officials and make a living at it and do something that we love.
I'm reminded of the scenes in the Butch Cassidy and the Sun Kids when the sheriff was tracking them down, and they'd look at one another and say, who are these guys anyway? I'm telling you the truth. I can't tell you how many guys I took to the penalty box when they first met Bill Devorski, and they'd say, who is this guy? Well, my answer was simply Mr. Bill Devorski.
It wouldn't take you long to find out, Bill, that's for sure.
And that's our collective memories of Bill Devorski, and there are many, many more. And we sure appreciate what he taught us and how he entertained everybody in the hockey world and circles in this area of Ontario. We'll be right back after the break.
We're going to miss him a lot, Bill.